So they take all those shirts and they ship them to third world countries.
Oh.
And they donate them to people who, wouldn't otherwise have shirts. So, they get these shirts, announcing, that the Dodgers beat the Cubs in the World Series, like Dewey defeats Truman, kind of thing.
I've got a 2008 Hillary sticker they can have.
Well, I was thinking about that. Well, it's not the we hope they win shirts. It's the they won and they didn't. And I was thinking about that. Like maybe that's where all these Confederate flag T-shirts are coming from. It's like, oh, they printed them up for the losing side, thinking they were going to win, and now they give them to all these poor people who wouldn't have shirts otherwise.
Oh,
good one.
It's just one of those thoughts I had. I lived in Missouri for 8 years. It's you get used to just like, if not in your face, just in your environment kind of things that it's like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Why do we even allow Confederate flags in the United States anymore?
Well, because it's America. It's one of the shortcomings, but I wouldn't say shortfalls of democracy. It was interesting. Another mention for NPR, but I heard them interviewing London Mayor Sadiq Khan yesterday, and they were asking about the baby Trump balloon, the blimp, which it's brilliant. And like, well, isn't that like a middle finger to Donald Trump? And as he said, it's like, look, we have a tradition of free speech in our country, as you do in yours. And, as a Jew who grew up in the suburbs of Chicago when the Nazis wanted to march in Skokie, it's like, I don't like their message, but I will defend their right to say
So
it.
did the ACLU.
Yeah. It's...
What's the difference between free speech and hate speech then?
Well, the whole hate speech thing has sort of evolved in the last 25 years, I think, out of things like Skokie. And it's a fine line. I think, it's one of those things that as enlightened liberals who I myself do not consider myself to be woke because I am awakened.
Yeah, I believe that I wouldn't have a problem with history if you told the truth.
Yeah.
You know what? I wouldn't have a problem with a flag. You want to show that flag? Well, say what that flag represented and what it put the history up. Don't make people have to go dig for this shit. You see, because you sitting there and you go, hey, it's a beautiful statue. No, say what this motherfucker did. Tell me exactly what he did. If you told the truth, and see, because people wouldn't have to go dig. We would not have to go and find out about, did we inject black people with syphilis back in the 60s?
Wow.
Yes, we did.
Actually, it was the 40s and 50s. And then did we actually have a black woman that we helped develop some things that we were, put it all in there. Tell the truth. You want to know about the Klan? Say what these motherfuckers did.
Mm-hmm. Say what they're still doing.
Right. Say what they're still doing. Understand what was Jim Crow. Who created it? Who put it together? Put it in there. It should be in all the history books. It should be taught in the high schools. Let these people know. But you didn't do that. And that's why you're able to screw them, because they don't, only 3% of our society reads anyway.
Right.
They actually read books. And even the people who graduate college, they go to school to become laborers. They do not go to school to continue to improve their learning. They go to become laborers. So they just go, I got my degree, I'm going to go and get me a job. That's it. They just want to make money. They don't care about continuously reading, learning, improving. They don't want to know anything. They just so they can get in and be the consumer that they've been trained to be, to buy the bullshit, and they can be sold the crap that Trump sells them. I mean, that's why everyone's pissed about, what's her name? The Kardashian girl now.
Oh, Kim Kardashian?
No, her sister.
Kylie Jenner, being a quote-unquote self-made billionaire.
She's worth $900 million. And
how much do you think it stung her momager, Kris Jenner, to see self-made?
Yeah.
Fuck
self-made.
you, self-made.
I've been pimping you out since you were in the womb.
And Kim probably like, do you realize what I had to let Ray J do to me? Self-made? No, this is,
Tell the truth.
I think great point and a great segue into one of the other big issues this week. People got very upset with John Schnatter, Papa John, for not, and strangely not for making shitty pizzas, but for using the N-word. And
now, how did he use it?
Well, all right. And here's the thing, because before the show, I had written to you guys and I said, I think he should have been released by the board as he was, but not for the reason he was. And this is where I'm coming from, because I got into a bit of a conversation with a black friend of mine this week about it, who wasn't upset. He didn't think Schnatter should have had to step down. He said it's all about the context.
Right.
Just using the N-word is not a punishable crime. And I agree with him on that. That referencing it as Schnatter did on this conference call, referencing the fact that Colonel Sanders used it, is, I think, the same as the writings of Mark Twain. If you want to chastise him for uttering the word, then you're basically standing up for banning books from school because they include the word. I don't think the crime is uttering the word. What followed up his reference to Colonel Sanders was him saying, and he didn't get in trouble for it. That, to me, is the offensive part. That's the typical entitled white person go, well, how come rappers get to use the N-word and I don't?
Right.
That's what he should have been fired for. If you have to ask that question, you are in no position to be running a multi-million-dollar shitty food company.
Well,
in my opinion,
it's like when Sherry Shepherd, and they were talking about the N-word on The View, and Sherry Shepherd got mad at Barbara Walters, which no one knew Barbara was dating brothers back in the day.
Oh,
yeah.
hey.
And then Barbara said, well, yeah, saying a word like nigger is wrong. You can't. And she was making a point. And Sherry said, Barbara, I'm offended. She said, why are you offended? Well, you said nigger. But I wasn't attacking you with it. I wasn't saying that. I'm agreeing with you that saying this word is wrong, but yet you said it. You can't say it. No, that's not how that goes. You understand? I mean, that's
I do, but
she didn't use it. Look, there's nothing
right.
wrong.
No,
yeah,
absolutely. Referencing, in a non-pejorative sense,
and that's all she
I
was
can
trying
understand.
to do. Right.
But and especially for someone in broadcasting, because obviously we're podcasting, we curse up a storm here.
Right.
When I worked in radio, commercial radio, where you can't swear, and you find other ways to say things. So as stupid as I think the euphemism, the N-word sounds,
right,
there are times when it is that you use that instead.
I say N-word when I'm alone singing in my car and I'm listening to Missy Elliott and she's like, and if you want me, N-word, come and get me now. And I'm singing along. I won't, or I'll just say nothing and I'll be like, and if you want me, come and get me now.
You do your own radio edit.
Shake my head and utter shameful history.
Yeah, there are some things where it's like.
Now, black folks are not doing that. Okay, black folks are sitting back. They're saying whatever. And mind you, we could be one of the guys got offended. He said, look, man, when we're all together and we're talking like that, cool. But if you're in a room full of white folks, do not drop that word. All right? Mm-hmm. Do not. Because we still have to, it's almost like we had two languages to like someone else. When we were, when you're around your friend, oh yeah, what up, cuz? Shit, what's it, man? You know what I'm saying? Hell yeah. We do one way. We go to get a job. We can't talk that way.
Right.
As they say, use your white voice, whatever the hell that is. Hey, and you go in and you talk differently. And so it's the same way when we're in a room of mixed people. You don't really know these people. So you don't go into, you can't, people say, man, you just got to keep it real. That's why I didn't like when Larry Wilmore was doing the
correspondence.
The correspondent, and he said, Obama, my nigga. No, you don't, motherfucker. Do not reduce him to that. That bothered me because leave that for the hood, man. Leave that among your people, in your culture. If that's what you want to do, cool. But don't bring that out here. It just doesn't jive, because if someone turns around, then you want to be pissed off because someone caught. Look, my thing is...
Well, someone at Fox News was watching that and going, we could have been calling him that all along.
Right. I mean, but see, my thing is, I've had people call me and say, hey, man, you must examine thyself, and if you know thyself, then hey, you know what you are and how you live. So if someone called me that, and they said, "When you ain't bothered by him?" No, just don't put your hands on me. That's what bothers me. But you can call me all the names at a distance, all you want. Because I can go back to my days of setting people on fire, and I don't want to do that. So burning people has a way of getting people to leave you the fuck alone.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So,
I like
but
that.
but I'm just saying, when you start playing around with words and you're trying to be hip, or you're trying to, don't go there, because it will definitely get you in trouble. And even girls who girlfriends. I think we should have. I mean, what we're talking about now would lead into having a conversation about race and people knowing each other and finding out we have a lot more in common than we think, But if people would take the time, Dave, I've said this to you many times. You and I talk all the time about different stuff. And, that's how people become friends. When you can get through and go, damn, they pretty much lived the same life I did. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, with context, because for me, a lot of people don't know off the bat that I'm Jewish because, anglicized last name. I don't really look stereotypically,
Right.
Jewish, whatever. I'm just kind of like random white guy looking.
Right.
So, it's a lot of people. Oh, hey, yeah, nobody really, hey, you want to hear a Jew joke? Nobody opens with that anymore. Maybe I'm just hanging out with a higher class people. But when you hear, like, when someone does a ethnic joke in front of me, not knowing,
Right.
or if they are consciously knowing, it matters to me whether it's someone who knows me or not. Like, someone who knows me and that I know well, it's, you give them leeway, When I was in college, I waited tables in this like nouveau Italian restaurant, and you were allowed to make your own lunch. If you worked the lunch shift, after shift, you could make your own lunch. So we had a brick oven. I was making a flatbread, and I was looking into the oven to see if my flatbread was done. And one of the sous chefs, who was an old friend of mine, walked by. He goes, "Dave, you can look as long as you want. You're never going to find your family in there." Now, coming from Bob, it was hilarious. If it was any of the other waiters or
Right.
any of the other sous chefs or anyone else in that
Right.
restaurant, I would have been over the counter.
Right.
But I had known Bob for years at that point, and we had that relationship where it's like,
Right. You have to get to know
you
people.
can crack
Yeah.
jokes about that. But there are lines that you don't cross.
Right.
Tymon, it's I
Right.
know there are a lot of things I could say
Right.
in front of you, and you're either going to laugh or give me a look.
Right.
But I would not. Well, I wouldn't use the N-word in front of anyone. But
No.
you don't get that close to someone if you're white,
Right. But I just, I think,
or if you're just not black.
it's
basically.
like, because if you're going to worry about that, what would probably I would focus on is that, like the crime that's happening where they're shooting a lot of black kids, and these kids that people getting, here a guy could walk into a church and shoot 9 people, and they take him they took him to Burger King.
Gross.
So, but yet you shot the brother in the back, and he didn't have a gun or anything. This guy didn't get shot. My thing is, anytime you see a crime, it should affect you, especially even if it's a person of color and something happening to them. It should affect you. Everyone should have been affected by Rodney King. To watch the brutal beating, you should have been up in arms and everything. I was affected by the black woman who beat the brother with the brick, beat the Mexican guy with the brick, the 92. That pissed me the fuck off. I saw a black chick steal an old white woman's purse. I'm like, no, that don't. They say, oh well, they do it to us. No, that's not right.
We gotta
Don't
stop
steal-
fighting amongst
No,
ourselves,
no,
man.
no, I mean,
the fucking power that we have to redirect. Like, if you want to steal somebody's purse, go steal Ivanka's.
Yeah, there you go.
Go get her fucking purse.
Yeah, that was
Leave
the
the
whole
old
thing.
woman alone.
That was the whole thing about burning down the hood, and they like, well, why don't you motherfuckers go to Beverly Hills and burn down Beverly Hills?
No, go to fucking Pennsylvania Avenue
Right.
right now.
And start burning some shit. But they don't think that way. They go after what's closest. And that's why I used to always tell folks, we used to all in our family be like, that white man, boy. I tell Dave all the time, the white man showed up to our house every day. He was always at dinner. He was at breakfast. He was at lunch. White man, white man, white. But the dude robbing you, which my parents never had a question, never had an answer for, was the brother in the neighborhood. That was the motherfucker robbed me. I was like, dude, when are you going to fix this guy? I ain't even met this white motherfucker yet, but this brother is robbing me every chance I get. He's just